Hey, School Bus here. So here we are again, looking at the garage at the AMD 178B, and I'm coming to you now saying I yield, I give, this is not going to happen, Ace Tanker just isn't in the cards. So I've been going through playing a bunch of games. Once I got the frontline week out of the way, I went back to trying to get my Ace Tanker on this. And so here are the last 6 or 7 games that I played. And if you recall in my last video, I said, well, I'm going to give it another 11 or 12 games, play 100 games in it, and if I get her done, great. If not, well, I will move on. But as you can see here, as I'm pulling up these games that I played, yeah, it got a little rough. I mean, I was in the top quartile of these games. I played well, so I was happy about that. But it just wasn't enough. And I'm glad that I set that bogey of I'm going to play 100 games, and at that point I want to move on, because I legitimately want to get to the higher tiers in the wheeled tanks. I don't want to spend all of my time here at tier 6, but I know that I'm likely not to bring a crew back to tier 6. And as you've heard me say before, the odds of you bringing in a rookie crew and then getting your Ace Tanker is not likely. I mean, I have a 4-skill crew. It's not going to get much better than that. So went back 6 games here, and you can see there was at least a victory, but it was victory and then loss. So it's time to move on. It's time to bump up here to tier 7. But before we send this off, let's go take a look at this last video. Without spoiling this, I'm going to say this game proved to me I was done. 100 games was as far as I was going to go. Because if you've been along for the saga of the tier 6 wheeled tank and a lot of first classes just couldn't seal the deal with the Ace Tanker. And I always like to get Ace Tanker before I move on. Well, that just wasn't in the cards. And this game encompasses kind of all of what made that not happen. You just couldn't have that perfect game with the trifecta of a good opportunity to deal damage, a good opportunity for spotting, and then not having a team that completely folds and leaves you in a 1 versus, let's say, 5 or more situation. What I think also was working against me was the fact that every day that went by, more people were playing the wheeled light tanks, and a lot of those people were very, very skilled, and so the bar just kept going up. Goose and I were comparing notes and found that what was really easy early on, I think he got Ace Tanker on maybe like his 10th or 15th game, something like that. He did not play it for very long, and he aced it. But that was real early in the like the first 3-4 days that these things were available. Well, as time went on, and then I took a break during the frontline week to play frontline, and I was kind of losing some valuable time there. And next thing you know, I've got 85 games in or so, and I'm still trying, after the tanks have been out for 2 or 3 weeks, to ace it. It was a high bar to clear. Now, overall, what can I say about the tank? Well, it's tier 6, and no tier 6 tank is perfect. And I think although this thing had good mobility, it lacks largely in the gun department. And so you saw there, as I'm tracking this target, if there's hardly any movement in the X or Y direction, I'm not able to land the shot. The shell velocity isn't good enough, and so just using auto aim isn't sufficient. And you can try and feather the shots in by hand, but you have to be really good. You have to be better than I am to be able to pull that off. And it just doesn't have a very very good gun handling statistics. It's nothing like when I was playing the EBR 75 tier 8 premium tank. It was just so tight, fast moving shells, so you didn't have to give as much lead. That was a great tank. But it's tier 8. That's why it feels so much better than this. But tier for tier, there are definitely a lot of other things I would rather play. Most notably, just get yourself a Type 64. It's a great tank. The gun feels somewhat similar, but you don't have the nuances of the... Check this out. Okay, so I'm talking all that hate. It does land that shell, which was pretty cool. But anyway, back to the Type 64. It's just a good solid light tank, and you don't have to put up with the fact that the view range sucks, which is kind of the next thing to get into on this that's a major weakness. It doesn't have really great view range. So really about the only thing this thing was good at, and I say only, it actually proved to be rather valuable, is just getting in close and harassing tanks, moving around relatively quickly in close quarters, and sometimes you could trick them into missing you. And as I'm hearing more feedback from others who are playing tanks a bit more than I have been lately, they're finding that, yes, the wheeled tanks are very, very annoying because of those facts, particularly at the higher tiers. This thing, again, it's tier 6. It's not great at being elusive. It's a big truck with a huge turret on the top of it. So I've basically just been jumping around the map here, moving from one side to the other, trying to stay mobile, and certainly that is the correct way to play the wheeled tanks. In fact, I was probably too aggressive at some points, but, well, if you've watched school bus videos, I tend to be too aggressive. That's my Achilles heel almost always. And you get Mother Goose and I together, and then we both have crazy ideas of how to be aggressive, and then that just gets really nutty. Now I'm thinking, alright, I know there's some tanks I can flank in here, let me try and get in there. But as I'm about ready to, I realize that I'm probably going to have some issues up there at my 10 o'clock position with the Leo and possibly another tank that I can't quite read here on my screen. But here comes the Leo. I take that shot. Where the hell did it go? I have no idea. So I start to run away, but he's coming in fast. Leos are quick. And then I see there's a TD over here who hasn't shot me yet, so I'm suspecting that he's not planning to. So I go ahead and I take some time to shoot, but miss. And then the Leo comes in. And I start shooting at the Leo, and I miss. And I miss. And, okay, maybe I could be aiming these shots by hand, but I don't know. That shot bloom's looking like it should be able to hit, but it doesn't. And then something else kills me. That frustration right there, that proved to me perfectly my time was done. There was no way I was going to suffer through any more of this. I'll take my first class ribbon, or badge, whatever you want to call it, and I'm moving on to tier 7. So, check out the next video where I will do my first drive in the Panhard tier 7 wheeled light tank. Sorry to end on this bombshell, but I hope you enjoyed this, hope you appreciated it, and if you did, give it a like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll do this again. So have a great day. Thanks for watching.